asked to come. I wanted to work for Volunteers of America when I found out what all it was doing, not only for veterans, but for all kinds of people. I'm the daughter of a veteran. My father's first military assignment was Normandy, and his last military assignment was Vietnam. He was in the 1st Infantry in Normandy, and in Vietnam he was a medic for 2 tours. So I know something about the impact of war on families, and I also know a lot about how families also serve and sacrifice when they lose a member of their family for a year or more, and have to adjust. So this is work that's close to my heart, working with veterans. So it's just a privilege to work for Volunteers of America. So they've just been amazed. I feel supported. I feel everybody's on task and wants to do this work and cares deeply about it. So it's been an exciting transition for me in the last year and a half to move out of academic life and move into the fast-paced world of nonprofits. I feel like I get on a plane about every other day, and it's great. It's really great work. I love it. So we've been puzzling for the last year and a half about what to call what I'm doing. I'm going to do a little workshop after this on moral injury, because it's not a simple thing to talk about. You can't just say, well, and you get a 5-word definition. It's much more complicated than that, and yet it's a profound kind of suffering. And so we've been struggling about, what would we call it? And our COO suggested we call what we do the Shea Moral Injury Center. And that was genius, because Jonathan Shea is the first person to talk about, in explicit terms, about moral injury. And he did it a long time ago. It's a relatively new term that's being used, but he wrote a book that was called Achilles in Vietnam, War and the Unmaking of Character. So he talks, basically it's a book about moral injury. And so I got to know him from doing this work. I wanted to meet him, and I'd read his books, and we used his book. My friend and I, Gabrielle Latini, wrote the book Soul Repair. We used his work. And it turns out he's just been a pivotal key person in all the work being done on moral injury. Not only because he wrote 2 books about it that are bestsellers, but because he took seriously what he says to me is, everything I know about this, I learned from the veterans I served. Everything they taught me, I didn't teach them. And so he said, and those guys, for 20 years, he counseled veterans at a drop-in clinic for the Boston VA. They were hardcore homeless, often lost to the world veterans. And he said, those guys suffered so much, and they said to me, Doc, you got to do something so the younger guys don't have to go through what we went through. So he believes that those veterans gave him a mission beyond the work he was doing with them to try to prevent some of the terrible things that happened in Vietnam. And so that's the other work he's been doing. He didn't just counsel veterans, but he actually took what he learned and where he had influence. He tried to get the military to do better training of leadership, for moral leadership. He worked with the military to improve and maintain unit cohesion, because the average life expectancy of an augmentee in Vietnam was 2 months. So he did things like that. And he's still trying to do it. He's now 80, so he can't do it as much as he used to, but he's just so committed to the well-being of Americans veterans that we just thought, what better name to call what we do than the Shea Center? The Shea